Hi everyone, and welcome to Mercury Retrograde. Indeed, we are in the middle of it. I didn't initially plan on making a video for this, as I would have made it before the transit started on November the 16th, but I am in Mercury Retrograde right now. We are all in Mercury Retrograde, and I decided to actually come on and make this video as a little bit of a conclusion to some of the 2018 energies as well. I feel that it's interesting that we are having a Mercury Retrograde right towards the end of the year. And I just wanted to come in and shed a little bit of light on some of the things that I've learned with this Mercury retrograde, as well as some of the things that are continuing to sort of be an issue and that I'm sort of catching on to as we step into about the last full week of this transit. So over this year of 2018, we've had 3 Mercury retrogrades in fire signs. We had the Aries, we had the Aries and the Leo, and now the Sagittarius Mercury retrograde. And it's retrograding from the beginning of Sagittarius back into the late degrees of Scorpio, right where Jupiter just transited over into Sagittarius, and then Venus is going to come and go over it again as well. So that whole area of the Scorpio-Sagittarius cusp is very activated right now, and now it's getting a Mercury retrograde. I am a Scorpio-Sagittarius cusp person, so I'm feeling this very strongly, and hopefully I can help to clarify some of the things coming up for everyone right now. And the first thing that's really coming up is, like, why are we making things so big right now? This can be like a really little transit, and this is what I like about this particular Mercury retrograde. Yes, we all know that during Mercury retrograde, things become just a little bit hard to handle. Technology goes crazy. Things with work and career tend to become like very burdensome. There's a lot of like puzzles to solve. Nothing's clicking into place. All of the lights are going out. All of that types of thing. But this one feels a little bit different, I've got to say. It feels a little bit different than the other Mercury retrogrades we've had this year, and quite different than a lot that we've had in a long time. And I think that that's because 2018 has really forced us at a collective level to get a lot of things into place. Like, we've really had to organize our energies. We've really had to delegate properly. We've really had to get a lot of things into alignment. It's not going to be the case for everybody, but this Mercury retrograde is different because it's harder for things that were sort of recklessly constructed to fall apart, because there's not too much reckless construction happening right now in general. So how does this type of energy channel itself when you kind of have all your ducks in a row, or when you have everything lined up? It becomes very little. It becomes something very small. And it does start to think about fear. It starts to think, okay, what are we scared of happening? Are you scared of all these things that you've put together falling through? Are you scared of not having the proper energy? It's important to not be fearful coming into this transit, because for a lot of people it may deal with health. It may deal with, I've not gotten the tests back yet. I'm worried that I have this and that, or I'm worried that I'm about to have a divorce. And there's like this sense of worry with this particular Mercury retrograde. I feel that Mercury this time in this retrograde cycle is not actually messing too much with like communications and technologies, as much as it's messing with your inner communication and your inner sense of communication with yourself. And it does always to some degree, but it feels bigger this time around. And that's because I think it is in Sagittarius and Scorpio. So it's right on that axis of like self versus collective, going from the inner to the outer. And really what you're going to see coming up, especially as we're ending this Mercury retrograde transit, we're in the last week of it now, are issues that deal with communicating your internal world to your external world, and also issues that deal with your own body's sense of communication with itself. So yes, the nervous system is very emphasized in this transit, and it's emphasized for healing as well. What I like about the Scorpio-Sagittarius cusp is that it deals a lot with healing. It deals a lot with damage and healing. So you can damage yourself quite easily during this time, and you can heal yourself quite easily during this time, as all of 2018 has been an opportunity for damage and healing. With Jupiter and Scorpio, it was very easy to kind of stop things. It was easy to stop addictive cycles. If you had an addiction that had been hanging on for a long time, that was kind of your opportunity to throw it out. You can still do it here and now if you like, especially while we're still in the year of 2018. Very easy to stop something. And it was also very easy to take something on as well. Very easy to take on sort of a destructive relationship. Very easy to take on a new addictive cycle. There's always a polarity with it, like if it's easy to let something go, it's also easy to take something on. And this Mercury retrograde is coming in to really kind of scatter up anything that was a mistake. And that's an interesting concept. So you've like started a new medicine or something for a health problem that was never really right. You will see during this time that it wasn't right, and that can be through an odd health thing, but it's not going to be anything that's too damaging. Like, try to not be scared, try to not have anxiety with that. But things are going to show themselves for what they are during this time, and that can be a little bit of a discordant experience for some. Also, I feel that you can have sort of like phantom experiences during this type of Mercury retrograde as well. It's like you can have the symptoms of food poisoning without actually having food poisoning, or you can fall in love without actually being in love. There's a sense of illusion happening with like Neptune and Pisces, Jupiter having just moved into Sag, and this Mercury retrograde kind of going back and forth on those points. And it's not so much illusory as it is your own communications within, like your own nervous communications within your body. Like for some reason, it's like the circuits within you are communicating, yes, I'm in love, or yes, I have food poisoning, or yes, all these things that are not actually the case, or like, yes, I have this endocrine problem still, but you don't actually. It's sort of like also going to scatter up things which are habits. What I mean by, like, it's like habitual body action. So if you've healed from a disease, your body is still producing the symptoms because it was used to it, even though the disease is not there. I do feel this Mercury retrograde can come in and scatter things up to where your body clicks to the fact that it's better now. So yes, this can be an extremely healing transit and an extremely healing experience for many people, because it will scatter up anything that's holding you on to a sense of dis-ease. And that's what I really love about it. And that's one of the main things that I wanted to mention on my channel today about it, is that this is your opportunity over the next week to not fear your own body's process of being scattered to the extent that it lets go of what is still holding it back. So yes, this is the type of transit also that can bring on a headache, or can make you feel very fatigued, or very just kind of like odd, like sort of an odd sense of queasiness or nausea, because your body's chemistry changes with this type of transit as well. So it's good to go to the doctor if you feel really bad or something, but try to not also worry too much about it. If you're feeling like, oh, I feel a strange tingling or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have cancer. It's not usually that type of thing. It's just the nervous system works differently, especially with Uranus also retrograding on the cusp of Aries and Taurus. Okay, so we have a quincunx retrograde happening between Mercury and Uranus, and that's just really shaking up our nervous systems a lot. It's giving our nervous systems options to heal. It's giving our nervous systems opportunities to function in new ways, but sometimes that can be a bit of a stressful process, just because it's a change, and our bodies can be quite fixated with this type of process, and it doesn't like to change. So it can generate a bit of a stress response to this. On a more mundane level, this is less a time for strategy and more a time for doing, I feel like. Being too strategic right now does just generate a lot of headache. I'm definitely feeling that strongly. Watch out for really trying to strategize, or trying to formulate, or think of like this really grand hypothesis about how you're going to do certain things in your life. A bit of just spontaneous action right now is supported. Mercury's doing the brunt of its retrograde in Sagittarius, and Jupiter just went there as well. That is not so much about strategy and formula. That is more about impulse and spontaneity and enjoyment. So when that's when that's like Mercury retrograding with that, you can see also that you can be too impulsive or too spontaneous, but there has to be a bit of it. Like, it's all about those balances for sure. So try to not be over impulsive, but try to not be too strategic at the same time, just because there's a lot of headache in either extreme of that. It's like you have to be wary of spending too much and spending too little as well, whether that be money or energy. You can suffer consequences from either extreme very easily. And that's one of the tough things about Sagittarius energy, is it suffers when it does too little, and it suffers when it does too much. And it's naturally gifted with an understanding of how to do the sort of middle perfection. Like, it knows exactly how much it needs to do, but will it trust that is the question. So especially for you Sages out there who might be listening to this, in your body, like, what is the optimum amount of energy or money or excitement to output, but will you conform that to other people's needs, or will you conform that to your own sense of fear? That's when you get into a little bit of problem area, and that's what's not necessary right now, because you're very protected. And I feel that everyone is quite protected. It is mitigating to have Jupiter in the same sign as the Mercury retrograde happening. So for those of you who have come into this period of time with a bit of fear, thinking, oh my gosh, how can I handle having another transit at these points? How can I handle having another retrograde? Because we've had a lot of retrogrades this year. Each year has a lot of retrogrades, as all the planets retrograde in a pattern. So every year there's going to be a lot of retrogrades, but this year it's just been particularly hard and particularly strong, the retrogrades. So this is the last one starting at least for the year of 2018. And 2019 is quite a lot. It's not easier, I'm going to say, but it's a lot more benefic. There's a lot more benefic energy in 2019. So this is sort of, again, this next week that we're going into until December 6th when Mercury goes direct. And probably for about a week after that as it goes direct back over these points once more. These next 2 weeks, everyone, really defines a lot in your own communication. It really defines a lot in your body's health as well. So really prioritizing your health, prioritizing your well-being, and understanding what contributes to your health. Of course, not everyone's dealing with some kind of illness, but understanding that you can be headed down that type of path if you're not allowing yourself to communicate your truth, if you're not being honest with yourself, if you're convincing yourself that going back to that place where you were so miserable is the answer so you can save money or something, really not giving yourself these options that evoke a sense of suffering like in the past. The suffering time has ended, really. We have a little bit of an opportunity for it here, yes, as Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio. Those last few degrees of Scorpio can be inclined towards suffering, but also flourishing and thriving. It's really polarized. But so you can really choose either way. You can suffer over these next few weeks, or you can really thrive. It can really go either way. But trust yourself. It all comes down to trust. And that's something about those last few degrees of Scorpio and first few degrees of Sagittarius. It really evokes trust to me. It also evokes confidence and power. Power and confidence really come out in those last few degrees of Scorpio, first few degrees of Sagittarius. And when you feel disempowered, when you feel lack of confidence or lack of potency, you'd feel like you're not having an effect on the people around you, or you feel like you're in a relationship and you don't feel attractive, or you don't feel like you have power over the person who you're with, or for some of you, you don't feel like you have control over the person you're with, which can be a little bit of a problem, but not what we're talking about. That does open a can of worms with this type of energy, because it's really going to scatter up those specific issues, and it's really going to hold a mirror to what you're keeping yourself in. Are you going to stay in a relationship where you feel unappreciated? Are you going to work on that? Are you going to bring that up? And what's that going to open? There's just a kind of a domino effect, and there are cans of worms. Like I said, it's a headache-inducing type of energy here. But let me tell you, it shows you something so important. And maybe some of you have already seen it. I actually haven't seen it yet myself. I'm getting there, but that's what I'm being told by the universe right now, is that this energy over these next 2 weeks shows you something so important about yourself, about who you're with, about your situation, about your environment, that really may give you an ultimatum. And are you ready for an ultimatum is the question. And do you trust yourself to react to something which is truthful and which is transparent? Because there is a gift here. Mercury is with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of gifts, benevolence, scatters candy. It didn't feel that way so much while it was in Scorpio, but it's in Sag now. It's at home, so it's very much more this archetype. So Mercury is going to be communicating gifts. It's going to be communicating well-being. It's going to be communicating what you need to thrive and flourish in your life. So mysteries are less prominent now. Question marks are going to be less prominent. Having to feel things out is less prominent. It's just going to kind of be obvious and available for you to grab onto. So for those of you who've dealt with things which are just so undefined, that's not going to be the case anymore, because things are defining themselves. And that's going to be such a big gift for us over the next 2 weeks, especially over the next week, though, from around, as the date that I'm recording this on, November 28th to December 6th. That is a time where you are shown something really important. And it's a time where you have to treat yourself with softness, but also allow yourself to embrace energy as well. And a lot like this video, it can be a very short and simple energy. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this here, you all. I want to keep it short and simple. I want to keep it compact. This is a very changing energy. This is really beautiful. Lots of transformations get activated here if you want them to, and also a lot of trust gets activated here, and trust in yourself. That's going to be the most important thing. Don't fear it. There's fear with this transit as well. If you grab onto it, it can really get expanded. Don't worry, your body knows what to do. The universe knows what to do. Your life knows what to do. You know what to do. You really know what to do. Like you know what to do here. You know what to do in these situations that are feeling very complex and puzzle-like. They don't have to be that way anymore. Let it click into place. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. December readings are already available on Patreon. I would so appreciate it if you would go and check them out. My Patreon page is something that I'm so excited to work on in 2019. I'm going to have a lot of content there and there only. And for only $5 a month, you can get my readings early and ad-free, as well as see my other posts, and you can have a direct line in to message me as well. I also have another tier called Benevolence, where you can sign up for my private email chain, and that comes with a monthly audio channeling about the energies as well, so there's a lot of extra content there. Thank you so much for your love and support. I have some other useful links in the description box below. We will be talking soon. Bye.